So security, I mean, what is it even for at this point? Apparently nothing.
Yeah.
Because what we just witnessed, this isn't just a leak, it's a complete catastrophic security meltdown for what has to be the most anticipated movie slate on the planet.
It's chaos. I mean, just pure monumental chaos.
We're talking 4 major trailer reveals dumped
Yeah.
in less than 24 hours. This isn't a trickle, it's a flood, and it's given us this completely unfiltered look at Avengers. Doomsday, audio for Thor.
And from a corporate point of view, this is the definition of a 5-alarm fire, a total crisis. You have years of marketing plans just up in smoke.
On.
The narrative momentum they build so carefully, compromise. We're talking billion-dollar investments here. Usually a little plot point gets out, they can handle it. But 4 huge projects in one day. That signals something is fundamentally broken.
Right, this isn't just some disgruntled intern. This is a massive vulnerability.
A huge one.
And right at the heart of it all, the absolute crown jewel of the chaos is the leaked footage for Spider-Man. Brand new day. So welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to cut through all that noise, all the frantic deletion efforts, and give you the essential analysis. Our mission today is simple. We are doing a deep dive into everything we just saw for Brand New Day.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not just looking at what they showed us, but why it's so important. Why this dialogue, these visuals, they basically redefine Peter Parker's entire journey from here on out.
And that why is everything. I mean, the fact that Marvel and Sony, through every lawyer and every algorithm they have at scrubbing this from the internet, that just tells you one thing.
It's real.
It is 100% legit. This was pulled right from their internal servers. The fallout from this is going to change how they guard these projects forever. It's a game changer for them, but for us. Well, we get a raw, unfiltered look at the real price of being Spider-Man.
Okay, so the story of the leak is almost as good as the trailer itself. Let's unpack this whole thing. Section 1, the breach and the battlefield. Let's set the context for why this is all so explosive.
Well, the volatility is just about the scale. 4.
Mm-hmm.
4 incredibly sensitive pieces of media in one day. When you think about the layers of security on something like Avengers, Doomsday,
Yeah.
it's almost unbelievable.
It points to a major internal problem, right? Either a coordinated effort or just shocking carelessness somewhere in post-production.
It has to be.
And we can actually guess a lot about how it happened just by looking at the leak itself, especially the Brand New Day one. The quality is not great.
No, it's not a clean digital file. It's blurry. You can tell it was recorded off a screen.
A PC monitor, probably.
Almost certainly. During an editing session or some kind of internal review.
So someone with a phone in an editing bay?
Exactly. Which, it tells you 2 things right away. 1, this wasn't some master hacker breaching firewalls from the outside. This was someone with access.
An insider.
An insider. And 2, while they got the footage out, the way they did it leaves a massive trail. We're talking timestamps, IP logs. You might even see a reflection in the monitor. The person who did this is in a world of trouble because the studios can almost certainly figure out when and where that phone was pointed at that screen.
Wow. Meanwhile, the studios are just in full-blown panic mode because this didn't just leak a trailer. It completely torpedoed their marketing plans for the next year.
Oh, completely annihilated them. And you have to understand, marketing these things it's like a carefully choreographed ballet between Marvel and Sony.
Right.
Let's break down the schedule they had planned. Marvel was all set to drop its first huge teaser, probably for Doomsday, with the Avatar release on December 19th.
Which is smart. You attach your biggest trailer to the biggest guaranteed box office hit.
It's pure synergy, maximum eyeballs. Then Sony was going to follow up a week later.
To give the Avengers trailer some breathing room.
Precisely. They were planning to debut the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer with the Anaconda movie on Christmas Day, December 25th.
Which also makes perfect sense. Brand New Day comes out 6 months before Doomsday, so you drop the Avengers teaser, let that hype build, then you hit them with Spidey to carry that momentum into the new year.
It was a brilliant strategy. It builds hype for both without one overshadowing the other.
But the leak happens right on December 25th, or just before.
Right in that window. We already knew Tom Holland was doing teases in the UK, so the launch was imminent. The trailer was likely in its final review stages around Christmas. And that window, after it's finished but before it's public, that's the weak point.
That's when it's most vulnerable.
Always. This wasn't some unfinished rough cut. This was the final high-value product recorded right off a system where someone was giving it a final look.
And look, Spider-Man movies have leaked before, but this, combined with the other Marvel breaches, This is something else entirely.
It's a massive escalation. Think about the delicate relationship between Sony, who owns the rights, and Marvel Studios. This puts a huge strain on that.
Yeah.
Past leaks were, rumors or a blurry photo from the set. This was multiple finished commercial assets. You can guarantee there are going to be some very serious conversations and major internal crackdowns. The studios are treating this like an active crime scene now. The days of being sort of lenient with internal leaks are over. This is about protecting billions in trade secrets.
So they're on high alert, which just proves how real and how vital this footage we're about to break down is. Okay. Let's pivot from the corporate disaster to the actual heart of this thing. Section 2, decoding the dialogue. The price of being forgotten. This is where you immediately feel how much more mature, how much more psychological this movie is going to be.
Yeah, the main takeaway from the dialogue is that the memory wipe from No Way Home, it wasn't a clean slate, it's an open wound. And worse, it's a vulnerability.
A weapon.
A weapon that can be turned against him.
And the trailer doesn't ease you in. It just, bam, it hits you with Peter's opening monologue and you instantly get his new reality. He's a ghost.
The lines are just so effective. He starts with, "Hi, my name is Peter Parker. You don't remember me, but we know each other." In that one sentence, you feel the weight of everything he gave up. He's known as Spider-Man, but the person, Peter, is completely invisible.
And then he gives the reason, which confirms this whole cosmic threat is still out there. He says, something very bad is going to happen, and the only way to stop it is for everyone to forget me. Bear with me, there are answers ahead.
And that's so important. It tells us two things. First, he's not regretting it. He understands the price he paid. But second, the way he frames it is going to happen. That suggests the threat that made the memory wipe necessary is still active.
So the spell wasn't the solution. It was a delay tactic, a preventative measure.
Exactly. He's starting his new life already in the hole, still facing the same crisis that erased him in the first place.
But, you could argue a monologue like that might come off as a bit self-pitying, but it doesn't. How does the delivery avoid that?
That's a great question. It's the tone. There's no bitterness in his voice. It's just the statement of fact, a burden he's accepted. And he follows it up with that incredible line about the duality of his life.
I'm not just Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man.
And sometimes Spider-Man has to do the difficult thing that even Peter Parker's heart breaks over. That's not self-pity. That's maturity. That's someone who has fully internalized that the duty comes first, no matter the personal cost.
That's the moment. That's the final step from being Spider-Boy to being Spider-Man.
Absolutely. He's not trying to balance his two lives anymore. He's accepted that Spider-Man is the dominant identity. It's the one that has to make the lonely, heartbreaking choices. He's fully embracing the burden.
But just as he accepts that loneliness, this new villain shows up, Sadie Sink, who seems poised to exploit that exact sacrifice.
Yes, and her threat immediately elevates the stakes beyond just a physical fight. She's not trying to unmask him or beat him up. She wants to erase him. And she can somehow mess with the spell.
Her line is so chilling. You are a mess, Spider-Man. Do not get in my way, or not only your friends, but no one will remember who Peter Parker is. But wait, if the world already forgot him, what does she mean? Is she threatening to erase the very idea of Peter Parker, from existence?
That is exactly the implication. That's the terrifying part. The memory wipe isn't a solid wall. It's something that can be manipulated. She's positioning herself as this higher being with some kind of cosmic power over reality itself.
Do we know anything about her? Is she a comic character?
The speculation is that, based on her power set, she could be connected to someone like Shathra from the comics, who is this cosmic being that hunts spider totems across the multiverse.
Yeah.
But she could also be someone new. The key thing is, she's not confused. She knows who Peter is. She remembers.
So she's like the anti-Doctor Strange.
Perfectly put. She holds the key to his stolen past, and she's using it as leverage. This makes the whole conflict deeply personal and philosophical.
It makes Peter realize his sacrifice wasn't a permanent fix. It was a Band-Aid on this huge flaw in the fabric of reality.
It is. And it ties into the bigger cosmic instability we keep seeing. But let's hold that thought and look at the dialogue from Tombstone. It's this really weird metaphorical warning.
Yeah, it's so specific. He says, spiders have 3 life cycles, and between each cycle, they are most vulnerable. Only those spiders survive who learn to adapt.
We really need to unpack that 3 life cycles bit because it's such a brilliant framework for his entire arc.
Okay, go on. What are the cycles?
Well, historically, you can look at Peter's journey in 3 phases. Cycle 1 is the origin and high school phase. The kid learning the ropes, the responsibility is still kind of local. We've seen that.
Right.
Cycle 2 is the college and early adult phase, working the Daily Bugle, money problems, but still has a support system, like Aunt May. This movie seems to be about the painful transition from that second cycle to the third.
Which is what?
The adult isolation and adaptation phase. This is where the hero is truly alone. He's burned his bridges not out of malice, but for the greater good. And Tombstone is saying that the most vulnerable moment is between those cycles.
When he's shedding his old skin.
Exactly. He's stripped bare, no college, no job, no friends, no safety net. He is in that fragile in-between state, and his only path to survival is to adapt, to become something harder.
And this connects to Tombstone's own story in the film, right?
Yes. The leaked description says that this dialogue happens around a scene where Tombstone himself goes through a kind of rebirth. So it's linking the hero and the villain. It's saying that in this world, survival for everyone, good or bad, is about adapting to a harsher reality.
And that adaptation means finding new help. Even though he's alone, he knows he needs allies. We hear that line, "Trust me, Banner, I need your help."
And the fact that he's going to Bruce Banner, a guy who doesn't even remember him, is so telling. He doesn't need muscle. He needs a scientist. He needs someone who can maybe understand the cosmic mess he's in with Sadie Sink, or maybe just help him navigate the bureaucracy of being a non-person.
He's building a new support system from scratch based on strategic need, not friendship.
A very lonely process.
A lonely, difficult process. But okay, for all this heavy dialogue, the visuals are doing just as much work. Let's move to section 3. Visuals of isolation and iconic homages. The trailer has this really cold, almost depressing look to it, but then it's punctuated by these incredible hero moments.
And that contrast is completely intentional. They're showing you the spectacle of Spider-Man versus the grim, mundane reality of Peter Parker.
It opens with that big, sweeping shot of New York, but the mood is set by the music.
Oh, the music choice is just a stroke of genius. It's, I love you, but you're bringing me down.
It's perfect.
It's basically the entire theme of the movie in a song title,
Okay.
right? His love for being Spider-Man, the duty, the purpose. It is literally bringing Peter Parker, the person, down into this isolated, stressful life.
A thrill versus the anxiety.
Exactly. And you see that anxiety visualized right away. We get a good look at his new apartment, and it is bleak. This is not some cozy student flat. This is bare bones.
And he's surrounded by these symbols of his new struggle. He's sorting through a pile of letters.
And it's not fan mail. You can just tell it's college rejection letters, overdue bills, all the administrative nightmares of trying to exist when you have no official history.
Right. The memory wipe didn't just take his friends. It took his transcript, his credit score, his rental history.
Everything. He's literally fighting to prove he exists on paper while he's also fighting, ninja assassins.
And then there's that one shot that's so simple but says so much. Peter, alone, at a laundromat.
That shot is so powerful. It's the perfect visual for the crushing loneliness of just surviving as an adult with no one. No roommate, no Aunt May to help. He has to manage the boring reality of clean clothes and paying rent all by himself. It's the contrast between fighting a guy named Scorpion and separating his whites from his colors that makes it so real.
And the emotional low point is when we see him just watching. He's outside looking in at his old life. MJ, Ned, you can just see the sadness, the nostalgia for what he lost.
That's a classic scene from the Brand New Day comics. He knows what he gave up, and he is actively choosing to stay away to protect them. The pain of that choice is right there on his face. He's mourning a life he's still technically living.
But it's not all doom and gloom. The visuals do hint that he's making some progress.
Yeah, there's a subtle suggestion that by the end of the film, he will get into college. And that's so important. It gives Peter Parker, not just Spider-Man, a tangible goal. It shows that the adaptation Tombstone talked about is actually working. He's rebuilding.
And just when you're deep in the sad reality of his life, the trailer flips and reminds you, oh yeah, he's still spectacular. It gives us these incredible moments of comic book iconography.
And these aren't just random action shots. They're like living comic book panels.
Yeah.
They're slowed down, deliberate homages.
There's that incredible shot of him in a classic mid-air pose with everything frozen around him. But the big one, the one for the deep fans, is that shot of him on the side of a building.
Building posts, yeah.
It's a direct recreation of the cover art for the Brand New Day comic.
And that is the studio basically telling you exactly what this movie is.
Yeah.
By linking the film visually to that specific comic run, they're saying two things. One, we're embracing the dark adult themes of that story, the loss, the money problems. And two, this is it. This is the definitive solo post-reset Spider-Man you've been waiting for. It's a mission statement.
The visuals perfectly capture the duality, grounded, lonely reality for Peter and mythic, iconic spectacle for Spider-Man. Okay, so let's get into the action. Section 4. Enemies old and new. The fight continues. The trailer confirms he's up against a whole new class of threat.
Yeah, his new lonely life is not going to be a quiet one. He is immediately thrown into these really gritty street-level conflicts,
Yeah.
and he has no backup. No Avengers, nobody.
The thing that really stood out was that quick, blurry shot of all those figures in red jumping him. The League of Red Assassins. That has to be the Hand from the comics, right?
It's got to be. And that is a massive change of pace for a Spider-Man movie. The Hand isn't just a gang of thugs. They are a mystical clan of ninjas. They're tied to characters like Daredevil, Elektra.
So this pulls Spider-Man into that darker, grittier, more magical side of New York street crime. It's not aliens from space.
Not at all. It forces him to fight a different way. These are disciplined, deadly opponents. You can't just web them up and leave a funny note.
Yeah.
This is that adaptation Tombstone was talking about. He has to learn to fight smarter, harder.
And speaking of adapting to old threats, we get confirmation of Scorpion's return. There's a shot of him breaking out of prison, smiling.
Scorpion's return is important because it's a link to his past rogues gallery. But this is a different, harder Spider-Man he's facing now. And Scorpion is just pure rage and revenge. That smile makes you think he's not working alone either. Maybe Tombstone or Sing helps bring him.
But the dynamic everyone is talking about is the Punisher. This looks like a really volatile, messy relationship.
It's the classic frenemy dynamic, and they set it up in 2 quick shots. First, we see Punisher's war van just straight up hit Spider-Man.
No, hello, just bam.
Right. It immediately establishes that they are not friends. Frank Castle and Peter Parker operate on completely different moral planets.
So he sees the costume and just assumes he's part of the problem, but then it gets more complicated.
Way more complicated.
Yeah.
Later, we see Punisher crashing that scene where Tombstone is having his rebirth and he yells at Spider-Man, "Saving your ass, can't you see?"
So he's helping him.
He's helping, but in the most antagonistic way possible. It sets up that classic dynamic where Spider-Man has to decide whether to work with this guy or fight him. Punisher probably sees Spider-Man as a useful idiot in his war on crime.
And that's a huge moral test for a now isolated Peter. With no MJ or May to keep him grounded, how far is he willing to bend his own rules when he's working alongside someone like Frank Castle?
That's the core question. He has to rely entirely on his own moral compass now. The Punisher is the perfect test for that.
Let's circle back to Sadie Sink for a second. The way she's introduced visually is also really important.
It is. She's just a black silhouette with her hands outstretched, delivering that threat. It tells you she's not a brawler. She's a manipulator, a creature of shadow or energy. Her power isn't physical.
She's an existential threat.
Exactly. Yeah. And the tragedy is that the one person who might be able to help him, Bruce Banner, has no idea who he is.
Yeah, we see Banner back in his civilian life. He's a professor, maybe at MIT or somewhere similar. But the memory wipe means he just sees Peter as some kid, a stranger.
And Peter's going to him for a couple of reasons, probably. One, Banner is a genius. Maybe he can figure out the science behind the spell or Sing's powers. But 2, and this is more grounded, Peter needs to get into college.
Right. With no records, he needs someone like a world-renowned professor to vouch for him, to help him get his foot in the door.
So he has to convince this brilliant scientist to help him build a future, all while hiding the fact that they saved the world together. It adds this incredible layer of dramatic irony to their whole relationship.
It's just so much tension. And the trailer wraps it all up in this fast-paced montage, set to that song, and then bam, the title card. Spider-Man, brand new day, July 31st, 2025. It leaves you feeling the weight of it all, but also incredibly hyped. Okay, so we've covered the League itself, the heavy dialogue, the lonely visuals, and the new friends and foes. Let's pull it all together. Section 5. Final takeaways. The man, not the boy. What's the lasting impression from all this?
The first word that comes to mind is cold. The trailer is thrilling, sure, but it's emotionally cold. This is not a rosy and lovey-dovey superhero movie. It's about how hard it is to grow up, how hard it is to be truly responsible and alone.
But it feels important, like a necessary step. It's serious, it's committed to showing the real cost of his sacrifice.
Because the core theme here is that they've finally fully made the switch. This is no longer a Spider-Boy story about learning lessons. This is a Spider-Man story about living with the permanent, painful consequences of duty. The kid is gone.
So what does a Spider-Man story look like then?
It's about duty above all else. It's about growing up without a safety net, managing deep loneliness, facing rejection, and just fighting through it all without giving up on who you are. He's finally the isolated working-class hero from the comics, stripped of all the fancy tech and billionaire mentors.
It all comes down to that one point. He's now juggling Spider-Man's duties and the real-world struggles of being an adult, bills, college, loneliness, all at the same time.
The memory wipe took away all his comforts and forced him to earn his life back, one impossible step at a time. And because of that, every victory he has now, whether it's beating a villain or just getting an acceptance letter, it's going to feel so much more earned.
It's a defining moment for the character. He has to shed that old life to become the hero he was always meant to be.
It's the cost of being a hero, laid bare. And honestly, it's why this leak, for all the chaos it caused, gave us a much more essential look at his future than any polished official teaser ever could have.
I agree. Okay, that brings us to the end of this deep dive into the Spider-Man Brand New Day leak. To quickly recap the three biggest revelations. 1. The threat of memory manipulation from Sadie Sink, a truly unique existential villain. 2. The painful, grounded reality of Peter's isolation. And 3. The introduction of serious, gritty threats like the Hand and that volatile dynamic with the Punisher.
And that whole situation with Sadie Sink's power, it leaves us with this one massive, terrifying final thought. The central threat is that a higher being can manipulate the world's collective memory of one person. This raises a huge question for the entire universe.
The ultimate instability question. If reality is that easy to rewrite, what does that mean?
Exactly. If memory and identity can be so easily warped on a global scale, not by Infinity Stones, but by one individual, what does that say about the stability of anything? What if Peter Parker is just the first test case? What other characters, what other major historical events that we all take for granted might have already been selectively erased or altered by some cosmic force, and no one, not the heroes, not us, even knows it happened? Peter's problem might just be a symptom of a much bigger, much scarier instability threatening everyone's reality. Something to think about until July.
That is absolutely unsettling. We'll be watching closely for the statements and consequences that are sure to come from the studios in the next few days. Until then, stay curious.